tell the guys, we're thin but mighty. Anybody that's ever asked about our program over the last few years, I've been saying the same thing. And
Princeton's always been a tough football team. One thing about us is we're going to play tough. We love to hit. Hitting is like preached, and it's like the gospel in Princeton.
I don't want to have all these rules and all these things that you got to try and memorize. Just the word all in. All in.
Football is one of the greatest sports in the world.
It was certainly emotional, no doubt about it. It always is between us and Ocean City.
I don't like losing. The kids don't like losing. And I don't want to lose to the same team over and over and over again. We want to win a state championship.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Cal One-on-One right here on Cape Atlantic Live, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and as we do, it looks like annually now, every year, Mike Pavlichko, Center Jersey Sports Radio, my former broadcast administrator up at Rutgers University for WRSU. Mike, we do this every year now. We have a little playoff preview. We have some playoff rants. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing all right. I've been able to catch up on some sleep since cutoff weekend, which is always a good thing after that, because it was up until about 3:30 or 3 o'clock on Saturday morning, and then just a lot of nothing until the game scores start coming in. But it's a fun weekend.
Yeah, you can check out Mike's content at cjsportsradio.com. You were actually perfect on all of your playoff projections last year with the math. Did you hit 100% again this year?
Well, listen, you're a radio guy by nature as well as I am, and the rule of radio is as long as you get it right before you sign off, you get it right. So I had I thought I had them all, and someone online, I was trying to post during the show, which in the post-mortem was not a great idea, and I think next year we're just going to wait right till the end. Plus, probably have more listeners. But somebody had pointed out, hey, I think you missed this thing. And I said, oh, yeah, you're right. So it actually was in relation to a story we're going to talk about in a little bit. And then apparently I missed one other 3-4 seed in North Jersey somewhere where I just had them flipped. So I missed two. I will say I missed two. And I got the other one right on the air. So still 318 out of 320 in 2 years. That's a 99.7, I think. So that's pretty much an A plus without even a curve.
I would say that's pretty darn good. Or as Larry David says, pretty good. Say something funny. In any event, so for those who forget, you and I called the game together last year for CJ Radio. Mainland and Somerville in last year's Group 3 state semifinal between the Central and South sectional champions. Now, Somerville, we'll dive into, a couple of the teams up by your area, in terms of Big Central, and then obviously we'll kind of cross over with the South Jersey stuff as well. Well, actually, let's start in Group 3 anyway, now that I just mentioned Somerville. We'll start in the Central Jersey bracket in Group 3. You have Somerville again. I believe that's your only team that's represented by your area in that section this year. But they come in, they're the number 2 seed, sectional champs just last year. Obviously, the game that you and I called last year, epic overtime game between those two teams. How does Somerville look this year? We'll start on the field, and obviously what you think of this bracket overall.
Well, I'll tell you what, they look really good this year. They've got one loss that came to Montgomery, who was up to number 3 just a couple of weeks ago. Here's a funny thing. A couple of the last teams that beat Somerville from the area, Kevin Carty Jr., who's at Hillsborough, and then Sean Carty Jr., Sean Carty, who's now the head coach at Montgomery. They're brothers, and their dad, Kevin Carty Sr., won a championship with Somerville in 1994 and won some more. But it was his first year there. Brought his son up, Kevin Jr., who was a quarterback, and won there. But yes, Somerville is. And here's the crazy thing. They have a quarterback now who is a freshman. His name is Dylan Boehm, and he's been starting all year. It was no injury. That was just the guy that they were going to go with. But to be perfectly honest, sometimes when you get a freshman in that role, it's just manage the game because they've got some other guys. If you remember last year, Aiden Bush, he is now going by Aiden Vesuvio Bush, same guy. He is having another tremendous season. We have a sponsor up here who sponsors the Speedster of the Week, and he is on that just about every week. Not this week, but he's been on the top 10 list, and he has won it. But he has got almost 1,200 yards rushing on 184 carries, 17 touchdowns. The quarterback, a freshman, He's thrown a few too many picks. He's 9 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, but those are freshman mistakes. 1,245 yards he's thrown for, but they've gotten it to a lot of guys. Vesuvio Bush, Justin Bowen, who's a junior, James Hampton is just a sophomore. These are guys who didn't figure major last year, but still got some time in and got some experience. So with them back and a freshman, they are just, picking up right where they left off last year. So, just the one loss right now, 8-1, and they play some tough teams. We're always a tough team. We just saw them back on Friday night beat Montgomery. They beat Rahway 20-7. So they've been good. We saw them against Plainfield 2 weeks ago, which is, kind of one of those teams that has a bunch of talent and a bunch of athletes. They are pretty much a 500 team. They've only lost back-to-back games once this year. They haven't won back-to-back games. So they're kind of that up and down team that you feel like, if they've got some talent and if they could get it together in a game that becomes a shootout, maybe they got a chance. And they didn't quite have that against Somerville, but Somerville was able to win that game against a team with a bunch of skill guys, a quarterback who could run. I would think, Somerville is a high seed here, and I think they've got to at least be considered a serious contender to win that title and to repeat, although it might not be at home since they don't have a top seed.
Yeah. They are the number 2 seed taking on Mattawan in the first round. Homedale, the number 1 seed in Central Jersey, Group 3. As far as South Jersey, Group 3, which, obviously more for our area here in the Cape Atlantic area, the old school Cape Atlantic League. 3 of those OG teams are in this bracket. Mainland, obviously, who's this Group 4 state champion 2 years ago, and the Group 3 runner-ups just last year. They are the number 4 seed. They are hosting number 5 Ocean City, who got into the playoffs on the very last day of the season just last Friday night with an overtime victory over Cedar Creek, which is the 2 seed in this bracket. And of course, number 1 is Burlington Township. They're taking on Timber Creek. So, I know you know a little bit about Mainland based on last year and obviously all their playoff success.
Right.
This bracket is very, very interesting due to the battle-tested Mainland, obviously from the top division in the West Jersey Football League. And not only that, they have all the playoff experience with a lot of those guys led by a senior quarterback in John Franchini, who was a 4-year starter, as you just mentioned. Somerville with a freshman quarterback. Franchini was the same thing for Mainland just a couple years ago. But the intriguing thing, which you pointed out to me before we got on the air in this bracket, was the Timber Creek situation. Now, Timber Creek, for those who don't know, historic program over the last 10 plus years, a lot of playoff success, a lot of big names that played in Division I college football, even guys that went to the NFL. A guy like Devin Leary, for instance, who was a big time college football player, played quarterback at Timber Creek. But Timber Creek's 2-7 this year, Mike, and you pointed out to me that they actually got in over a 6-3 Pinelands team. They were the 16 and 17 teams in that super section for South Jersey Group 3. Timber Creek gets the final seed. They have to go on the road in the first round. Now, I guess for the untrained eye, people would say 2-7 Timber Creek. Okay, probably not going to get in over a 6-3 Pinelands team, but that is the reality. Can you explain to us why?
I wish I could, but I'm a rational person, so I'm not sure that I can. No, I can actually absolutely explain why. And I'm going to give, first of all, I'm not even sure that Pinelands is the worst example here in the state. And I know the Asbury Park Press just wrote about it today, but we can take a look at their wins. I mean, it's not actually horrible. So they beat Lakewood, who has 2 wins. They beat New Egypt, which has 4. They beat Lacey, who has 3. They beat Long Branch, who's winless. They beat Barnegat, who has 5, and they beat Manchester Township, who has none. Mm-hmm. Their losses were to 7-2 Lower Cape May, 5-4 Monmouth, and 5-4 Toms River East. Mm. That, to me, is not a horrible schedule. I know that, part of the thing that the state wanted to do is not have teams load up on crap teams, basically. Let's just say that, okay? The state didn't want you loading up on a bunch of 0-1 win Group 1 teams if you're a Group 3 team, or better yet, loading up on a team that just has a bunch of wins over nobody just so that you could get into playoffs. So I understand that. I will also give full disclosure, and you and I have talked about this before, when they were using the Born Power Index, and we discovered that the more that you won by, the better you did in the ratings.
Yeah.
We realized that you can't have that. So one of the things that we did, I went down to NJSIAA. I said, would you like me to come down and at least just show you what I have? And they said, sure. And I was down there with Dan Vivino, the athletic director from Westwood up in the Super Football Conference in Bergen County. And he's very influential, and met with him and Colleen McGuire. And we both kind of showed the same thing and said, listen, I don't think we should have points determining this, but if we're hell-bent on sticking with this, there are other ways to do it, and you could flip it around and do the opposite. So we didn't have opponent strength index. We were just talking about born. So we called it like reverse born, that you would get, say, full for a win, half for a loss, or something like that. So I was a proponent of that, mostly to say, hey, we cannot have teams running up the score. But what we have now, and we're really starting to, and these are the kind of, I mean, this went in 2018.
Yeah.
So we used SI in 2019 and now 5 years. So we've used SI for 6 years, the UPR system for 7. I'm not counting 2020, the COVID year, because we had no playoffs. But still, we're starting to learn these things about it. There's a lot of coaches who are just learning about it because they don't understand it. And it is very complicated. But essentially, it is this. So the more points you score, the more you blow out a team by in SI, the more you go up. Likewise, the more you lose by in SI, the more you go down. And that seems very natural, does it not?
Of course.
Okay, good. So now what we have, because we're using it the opposite way, it is more advantageous for you to win by a close margin than win by a big margin. But that's kind of okay, because if you do it the opposite, you're running up the score, and it's not very sportsmanlike. The problem is when you lose a game by 1, you are going to get penalized. And when you lose a game by more, you are going to benefit. How does that happen? So the SI, which is what we use to determine the OSI, it's the SI of your opponents, your opponent SI.
Yes.
When we have two teams, let's say team A is an 80 and team B is a 60. Team A is expected to win by 20 points. If they win by 1, they go down and the other team goes up because the losing team did better than expected. They should have lost by 20. They only lost by 1. That's better, right? We all agree on that. But the winning team, so if the winning team wins by less, the other team goes up, they did better, and you get that other team's value. So that's good for you to win by less. But what happens is when you lose by 1, so now let's say team B loses by 1, and they're supposed to lose by 20. Their SI is going to go up, but the other team underperformed. They should have won by 20. They won by 1. So the winning team goes down, and you get the value of the winning team. Now, if you lose by 20, which is what we expected you to do, the other team doesn't change. If you lose by 40, the other team goes up because they should have beat you by 20. They beat you by 40. They outperformed expectations. That's all correct. Right. But now you get more. So what it ends up being is the team that loses by more benefits because the other team goes up.
Yeah.
So we're going to take, I don't know the situation with Pineland, because what we'd have to do is I'd have to look at Timber Creek. Now, Timber Creek lost some games big. But here's what happened with Spotswood and Camden East Side. Camden East Side was 3-5. Now, they were 8-3 2 years ago in 2023. And the new scheduling cycle for 2024 put them against some tougher teams, except that last year they went 0-11, and this year they're 3-5. So Camden East Side happened to get blown out in their last 4 games of the season by a combined score of 160-20. And what happened was on the final weekend, they ended up tied in OSI with Spotswood for 16th place. So the first tiebreaker is head-to-head, and one being from Camden and one being from Middlesex County. They did not play head-to-head, nor did they have any common opponents. So the next tiebreaker is OSI, not PowerPoints. Next tiebreaker is OSI. Camden East Side was slightly higher in the rankings. So Camden East Side got the tiebreaker. Now, Camden East Side's OSI was 50.55. Spotswood's was 41.3. If Camden A side does not lose to, let's say, Winslow 50-0,
Right.
let's say they lost 50-45.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines, or 50-42. Okay. 42 points. You divide by 5, that's 8 points in OSI.
Yeah.
Add that to your average, that's probably about 1 or 2 right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take all the other games. Or think of it this way. If Spotswood doesn't lose to Dayton by 1 point, their only loss of the year,
yeah,
if they got blown out by 50, would have been better for them.
Right.
So this is not really about Camden Spotswood. This is showing us, though, that this system is wacky, weird, and frankly unfair.
Yeah,
so
wacky. A bunch of other words too. It is interesting.
I'd give you the argument like this, right? This is how I would present the argument to people. You have 4 teams on cutoff weekend, all with the same rating.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 playoff spots left for 4 of them. Team A beats Team B by 10.
Mm-hmm.
Team C beats Team D by 30.
Yeah.
Which 3 teams should, in a sane person's world, make the playoffs? The 2 teams that won.
Yep. 2 winners.
And then do we want the team that lost by 10 or the one that lost by 30?
You would think the one who lost by 10.
Unless you were with the NJSI, in which case you'd say it's the 30. Because that's the way the formula goes.
Isn't it? I do find it fascinating because when we were talking about this before the air, with the Spotswood example, now granted, they only had 1 loss. So if they had won the game,
loss.
Right. If they had won the game, it would have been a moot point. They would have been.
By the way, they lost. They scored a late touchdown in the closing seconds, and were going for the PAT. There was a penalty. They decided to go for 2, being closer. They didn't get it. They got stopped at the 1. So they lost by 1 on that. Just throwing that out there.
Which is mind-boggling, and because of the tie, like again, they were 16, so they were in the top 16. But you mentioned the tiebreakers, and then sure enough, they don't get in. And that loss to Dayton, as you mentioned from Spotswood, was on October 10th. Okay, and they ended up winning 2 more games after that, 41-8 and 26-16. So they kept winning afterwards. Now, again, if they had won that game over Dayton, they're 9-0. They're in regardless because they're undefeated.
By the way, it was the first game all year they had allowed more than 8 points in a game. And even all season, they only allowed more than 8 points twice.
And I think if you want to,
I want to look at their schedule too.
Yeah.
So they beat a 2-win team. They beat 2 2-win teams.
Mm-hmm.
They beat a 5-win, a 0-win, a 3-win, a 5-win, lost to a 6-win, beat a 1-win, and beat a 5-win.
Yeah. So it's an average schedule, I would say. You get a little bit of this.
It's an average schedule.
Yeah.
It's not one of those teams that pack their schedule with crap teams just so they could get in the playoffs at 9-0.
Right. And I think the overarching, or if you want to make a general statement about how you just explained that, it is fascinating to me that a team that's 8-1, you would think gets in the playoffs anyway. But in this case, they don't. But it is funny.
Well, we have a 2-win minimum to get in. Why don't we have a guaranteed line where you get in? Illinois guarantees you're in at 6 wins.
Yeah.
And then the rest are, and then if there are berths left, which there usually are, then they fill them by at large. And it doesn't mean a 6 win is going to be higher than an at large team. It just means you get in the field.
Yeah, I think if the NJSIA explores something like that in the future, I think they'd be better off. It is just funny. My point was going to be, because they lost, and it is funny because you mentioned they were down 20-13, they get a late touchdown. So if they had lost by 7, they might actually get in because it's a better loss because they lost by more, which is
it would probably had to have been over the season because one was like a 50 and one was a 41. It was a big difference in OSI.
Yeah, but
I have a couple of I don't know if you want to get into potential solutions, and I can be quick about them, but because I do have it in a story that will be coming out, an opinion piece today. But
it is just funny that not to cut you off. It is funny that they are penalized for trying to win.
Right.
Essentially,
the math might not have worked if they didn't actually score that point, or they didn't score that touchdown. They would have needed more, right? It would have been, But the other thing is too. Actually, the other thing about that too is you're not just competing with Camden there. So like Spotswood's OSI was a 41.3, but they didn't have to catch them in OSI. They only had to catch Collingswood, who's at 45.3.
Yeah.
So really, they'd only need to gain 4 points. Or put it this way, Camden East Side was a 50.55. Johnson was a 49.28. So all Camden had to do, all that had to happen for Camden to miss was for them to fall behind Johnson, which probably would have meant one or two of those games being closer, or maybe even one. Because if they'd have lost by 5 instead of 50, that would have been 45 divided by 5. That would have been 9 off of their average.
Yeah.
So if you took, I just want to figure this out. I'm going to do 55.55 for Camden. They played 8 games. So we're going to multiply by 8. Their total would have been about 404. So let's say 405. We're going to subtract 9 and divide by 8. They'd be a 49.5. They'd be close to Johnson. So if they were closer in 2 games, the math would have worked. But the point is, had they been closer, they would have been out. If they had been competitive in those games, which I'm sure they would have loved and would have preferred rather than losing 50-0 to Winslow.
Yeah. Sure enough.
If they had been competitive, they would not have been in the playoffs, which is screwy to me.
Yeah.
So, and I've had people go, well, Spotswood needs a stronger schedule. You're shilling for Spotswood. I'm trying to explain that to Camden East Side that if you guys had done better, you would have been out. You got in because you didn't do well in those games. Like if you'd have done better, which you wanted to.
Yeah. It is fascinating when you look at how these things are put together as far as the brackets, the math that's involved. And I guess the incentive to not you want to win. If you win, it's pretty much a moot point. If you keep winning, you're going to get in. But of course, if you lose, you have to lose by the right amount. And again, it is funny how you mentioned the reverse Bourne, or like the anti-Bourne power index from a couple of years ago.
This broadcast is brought to you by Harbor Jiu-Jitsu. Located in Egg Harbor Township, Harbor Jiu-Jitsu is more than just training. Both adults and kids can gain practical skills that give you real confidence, build physical and mental resilience, and you can join a team that's here to help you grow. Featuring no gi, wrestling, and MMA classes. Harbor Jiu-Jitsu is the most dynamic gym in South Jersey. For more information, check out harborjiujitsu.com. This broadcast is brought to you by Chelsea's Messy Kitchen. For all your custom baked goods, Chelsea can do it all. From cakes to cookies to extravagant desserts, you can customize your order to your liking. Having a party, sending a gift, or just because, you'll find a delicious creation at an affordable price. For more information and to place your order, visit Chelsea's Messy Kitchen on Facebook and Instagram or call 609-365-0208.
Another interesting tidbit from these playoff brackets where we did figure it out, actually, you and I, before we went on the air. But down in Group 2, you look at South Jersey Group 2, Lower Cape May, one of our schools down here, 7-2, division champs this year, great season under first-year head coach Billy Damiano, who's a heck of a wrestling coach as well. But they lost. One of the 2 losses was to Gloucester City, who they actually have a playoff rematch with at home this week. They were neck and neck in the standings before anything, before any math, before any tiebreakers. They were one after another in the super section with Lower Cape May on top and Gloucester City right below them. And Lower Cape May, despite losing to them head-to-head, is actually still going to host them in a first-round playoff game this weekend. For those who don't know, can you explain the tiebreaker there?
Absolutely. So Lower Cape May, and they tied with Bordentown for 10th.
Yep.
So what happened was you have to, and then Gloucester City was right behind. So in depending on how you display it in the standings, right, it might look like Lower Cape May is right there with Gloucester City. But the first thing that you got to do before you do the head-to-head is you got to break the UPR ties.
Yep.
So with Lower Cape May and Bordentown tied at 11.2, did they play each other? No. Did they have any head-to-head did they have any common opponents? They did not.
Mhm.
So we go with the higher OSI team. There's again OSI coming in. And the higher OSI team was Lower Cape May, even though they're 7-2 and Bordentown 7-1.
Yeah.
They played, so they got a 46.84. Bordentown was 45.38. So Lower Cape May becomes the 10, Bordentown the 11, Gloucester City the 12, and the head-to-head is only done in the field of 16. So Gloucester City would have to be directly behind Cape May to jump them if they beat them, but they were not. Bordentown was in between because we broke that tie. So that's how that happened. Now, you might say, well, but last year we did the snaking. You could have ended up with the same thing in the snaking because, for example, you would have 1 in one bracket, 2 and 3 in the next, 4 in the other. 4 could have beaten 1 head-to-head, but they were not behind each other in the main bracket. So the same thing could have happened last year or in the last couple of years and probably did because I didn't notice it.
Yeah.
But so it can happen again. It can happen again.
Yeah.
That's the way it is.
Do you find for those who were not aware from last year to this year, do you find the method of organizing the brackets better now where you're taking the super section where the number 1 overall seed based on their northering number goes to one bracket and the other one, and then the number 2 seed goes to the other bracket, and then they do the northering numbers from there like they used to. So it's a hybrid of the last couple of formats. Do you think this is the better way to organize these sectional brackets?
I like it. I hear that North Jersey doesn't. I asked, is it possible that they could do something like South Jersey does it one way and North Jersey does another? Because the big issue is that the South super sections cover about 2/3 of the state.
Yeah.
So the travel is much greater there. And I've heard people say, well, you should see what it's like in Pennsylvania. Well, whatever. But
east to west.
Listen, I am a proponent, and this will get into some ideas I have. I am a proponent of preset geographical sections. I do not like, look, and I'll say the same thing the reverse way. If Middlesex County all of a sudden became dominant again in high school football and small school football, at Dunellen and Highland Park and Roselle Park and all these schools,
Middlesex themselves too.
Yeah, in Middlesex, Metuchen, Spotswood, South River, whatever. If there were so many of them that they were ending up in South Jersey sections, the West Jersey Football League teams would be the first ones to complain.
Yep.
No doubt about it. So let's just get that out there. But anyway, I believe that if you are the Central Jersey Group 1, Group 2 champion, that is the champion of teams that come from Central Jersey.
Yeah.
If you are the South Jersey Group 3 champion, you are the champion of all the Group 3 teams in South Jersey. So we have a North 1, we have a North 2, we have a Central and a South. Keep the teams where they belong.
Yeah.
There is absolutely no reason, and I know what the rationale of the coaches that will say, well, we need the best 16 in each, or we need the best 32, because now we're doing we're doing a state group championship, right? Well, guess what? Baseball has a group champion. Basketball has group champions. Soccer has group champions. We used to even have a tournament of champions.
Yeah.
They still play geographic sections.
I feel like the other sports are way more geographic than football is still.
And in basketball, I'll give you an example. Colonia, which is in North 2 Group 3 in basketball. There's only 4 groups in basketball. They're in North 2 Group 3. They've won the last 5 sectional titles. Ramapo has won the North 1 every one of those years, and they've met in the semis all 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you know how freaking awesome those games are when those two get together?
Probably pretty good.
There's a reason for that. If it was any other format, they might be meeting in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Of the section. Okay. That is fun because they play them every freaking year.
Yeah.
Piscataway, when they were, had Kyle Wilson and Malcolm Jenkins and Anthony Davis, they were in Central Jersey Group 4. But the same teams were in there every year.
Yeah.
Hunterdon Central was in it every year. They'd have epic battles, whether they met in the first round or the finals in the snow in 2002, before Dan Higgins took over. on a Tuesday night at 4:00 because the game was supposed to be at Rutgers and it snowed, and they wouldn't let you play when they had grass after it snowed because they didn't want to tear up the expensive turf field, right? Those are special. Those sectional finals are still special. If you really want to take the 32 best teams, get rid of the sectional titles, but I don't think people want to do that.
No.
Sectional titles still matter. It's still a banner in your gym. It's still a flag up on your flagpole or a sign on your scoreboard. Sectional titles still matter. And the only way they're going to continue to matter is if you make them geographical, because if they're not, then it doesn't matter. It's nothing. No college basketball team celebrates winning the East Regional. They celebrate going to the Final Four.
Correct.
So right, nobody knows what region was Gonzaga in last year.
Yeah, nobody remembers.
You don't know. There you go. And I don't know either. Okay?
I'm sure somebody remembers, but
I'm sure somebody remembers. But
the fact that you bring up the sectional titles, and I agree with you. I like the model they have this year. It's better because it actually organizes it a little bit better. Now
I got 7 of the 8 teams in North 2 Group 4 from my conference.
Yeah,
I'm guaranteed a champ there. I love that.
Now, this one school's out of our coverage area, Washington Township. I use them as an example because they're one of the best teams in Group 5 this year overall, I'd say. Now, they are in Central Jersey based on the northering number, which in all reality, Mike, Washington Township is not a Central Jersey team, but they're going to play for they're a West Jersey team, which, if you want to get into the nitty-gritty details, like West Jersey's its own thing as well, but we don't have a West Jersey section, you know what I mean? There's 5 sections. The math is not math in there. But they are not a Central Jersey team, but they're going to play for a Central Jersey title when in all reality they should be matched up hypothetically with the number 1 seed in the South, Atlantic City.
So the West Jersey Football League's argument is going to be, well, we want the best teams, so basically they just want 2 chances to win a championship. But here's the other thing too, right? Seeding is not a projection of who's going to win.
Mm-hmm.
Seeding is not supposed to be a projection of who's going to win. Who's going to win is going to be determined on the field. Like, if a 2 seed wins, do we say that the format, if all 2 seeds win this year, does the NJSI come back and say our formula is wrong because the ones didn't win? That's not the case. That's why we play football. I'm going to give you an example. You remember, well, you might not remember this, but you might know the names. Hunterdon Central, I want to say this might have been like 2013 or 14 or something like that.
Okay.
They had these 2 guys who were major college prospects. One went to, I remember their last names were Knight and Cabinda. Matt Knight.
Okay.
Mike Knight and Jason Cabinda. One went to Penn State. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So their senior year, one gets hurt, one gets mono with 4 games to go in the season. They're 4-0. They finish 4-4 at the cutoff.
Yeah.
So they get a 7 seed in the playoffs, and they're playing at 2 seed Old Bridge. And we said, well, we got kind of a local game here. Let's go do that. Old Bridge is having a good year. Those guys came back for the playoff game. They both missed the last 4 games, and they killed Old Bridge. Did they get the seed they deserve?
You tell me.
I say they did.
Yeah.
Because it's not how good that team might be or could be or we think they are. It's how well did that team do?
Mm-hmm.
And that team that year on the field was 4-4.
Yep.
So I don't like a formula that tries to adjust for what teams could be or what they might be. I like a formula that, listen, I'm going to do a little experiment with you right now. Can we do a little experiment?
Absolutely.
So every week I publish what I call the Big Central Conference and the New Jersey Football Power Rankings.
Mm-hmm.
They are nothing more than the SI.
Okay.
Okay. They are literally nothing more than the SI.
Okay.
So let me find my weekly power rankings here, and we're going to go to week 8 because I actually calculated all the SI. Whoops, you just heard my little windows going there. All right. So I have the entire state here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to run off some South Jersey teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I want you to tell me from the SI, do you think any of these are out of whack? All right.
All right.
Keeping in mind that it should be teams of the same or similar size.
Okay.
Like you might have a Group 1 team that's rated the same as a Group 5 team, but you can't really say that one would beat that 5. But you could say compared to other 1s and maybe some other 2s that they would beat them. So let me run some teams down for you and see what you think. Winslow 102. I'm just going to round off to whole numbers. Winslow 102. Washington Township 95. Glassboro 93. Kingsway, one of your guys, 89.
Not one of ours, but very good football team.
89.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just going down the list here. Haddonfield 85. Millville 83. St. Augustine 83.
Okay.
Cedar Creek 83. Mainland 82. Willingboro 80. Let's see. Shawnee 78.
Okay.
Rancocas Valley 77.
All right.
Toms River North 76. Pleasantville 75. Paulsboro 73. Anything out of whack there?
Especially with the teams that we are or that are in our coverage area as far as cable landing teams, that doesn't seem out of whack to me.
I muted you so I wouldn't hear Windows come up, and then I missed you. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I can't believe you muted me on your end. That's unbelievable. No,
well, I didn't want Windows to start making noises while I was.
Well, in any event, I do not know. Nothing was out of whack.
No, nothing's out of whack there.
Yeah.
So to me, that is actually the most accurate metric. Now, I want to find. I'm just curious as to the. Okay, so now you're going to get a few Windows things here, but you're going to have to deal with it. All right.
I'll bear with you.
I'm going to try and find Camden East Side. I'm just curious to see where they're at. 55.09 strength index. Spotswood says 68. So what did I say? 58? So it's 10. That says Spots will win by 10. I don't know. I don't know about that. But I'm going to try another. Let's try Pinelands. What is? Because this is about as close to what Bourne would say.
Yep.
Pinelands is a 55. Timber Creek. Take a guess.
I'm going to say 41.
57.
Oh wow.
55 to 57. So that's a pick'em game, basically.
Which is fascinating.
That says it's a pick'em game. Now that might be the case.
Yeah.
That might be the case. But if I got a pick'em game and one is 6-3 and one is 2-7,
you're going with the 6-3 team.
You're going with the 6-3 team, probably. Now let me ask you, eye test.
Okay.
Would Timber Creek beat Pinelands? What
Without
you've seen and read or heard?
I haven't seen him play, but I would say eye test tells me Pinelands probably edges them out. But that's just me. That's me taking a guess. But again,
but it's not like if I
to your point, we're taking a guess, right? It's a coin flip, so you would think on a coin flip.
Camden East Side played Winslow and lost 50-0.
Right. Probably as expected because Winslow's been doing that for everybody.
That is the equivalent. That's a Group 2 playing a Group 4 who was a defending state champ in Group 4.
Yes, and probably going to win.
Who's the runner-up? Do we remember who the runner-up was in Group 4? Phillipsburg.
Oh, okay, there you go.
So now let's put Spotswood, the other team that got bounced by Camden Catholic, up against Phillipsburg, the defending Group 4 runner-up. There'd be a couple of ambulances. Okay. No, I'm dead serious. There'd be kids leaving. It'd be like college football in 1874. There'd be broken bones all over the place.
It's the body bag game, the Buddy Ryan.
And I love Phillipsburg, and Spotswood's my alma mater. But let's call it what it is. That's what they're playing. So first of all, after an 0-11 season, I don't care. It's the second year of your scheduling cycle. Somewhere the West Jersey Football League's got to step in and go, you guys were 0-11. We're not going to have a Group 2 who went down to Group 2 in August 2 years ago, but before because when do the leagues make their scheduling? They do this in January, but the state doesn't come out with the classifications, the group they're going to be in until August.
Yeah.
So they gave them this other schedule. So anyway, Group 2 against a Group 4, that would be like Spotswood or Middlesex going up to play Phillipsburg, and that would just be a human tragedy.
No
So.
good. Well, unfortunately, there's not a quick fix to this. But
Can I give you 4 or 5 quick suggestions, and I promise you they will be quick.
All right, let's do it. 4 or 5 suggestions real quick.
I absolutely promise you that they will be quick. Okay, so here are some suggestions of ways that you could fix this a little bit. Keep the current system, make wins more valuable.
Okay.
So OSI, get 100% for a loss, 100% for a win, 50% for a loss. Make it 25.
All right.
The reason is PowerPoints was often like a 4-to-1 ratio, but OSI is 2-to-1. I think it's too much credit for losing a game. Okay. Second thing you could do is you could cap blowouts. So right now the running clock is 33. I talked to a few coaches. They feel like 28 is where a game is out of hand. So let's split the difference, make it 30, because right now we divide by 5 for SI, 1 point for every 5. So that would be a nice clean 6 points. So let's cap it at 30. Two things that would do.
Well, now, do you make the running clock 30 now, or you keep it at 33?
You can keep it at 33 if you want, but the calculation for SI is 30. And another thing that's going to do is that's going to keep the low teams from going too far down and dragging you down in the SI. So that's one thing. Two, go to SI instead of OSI. Now we did SI before, that was Born Power Index, but if we put the blowout cap in there, then it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah. I remember 6 years ago, you and I had plenty of conversations about where it incentivized the blowouts, where you had teams keeping their starters in when they're up 45-0 because they need to get into the playoffs.
Last idea, and I'm really curious to hear your input on this because you cover basketball down there, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Do what all the other sports do in basketball, which is the PowerPoints plus the opponent's winning percentage. So what that is just like the current PowerPoints, when you beat a team, you get 6 points for a win, 3 for a tie, none for a loss. You get 3 residuals for every win by a team you beat, and 1 for every win by a team you lost to. Okay. And then what they added in was they added in your opponent's winning percentage plus 500. So if I play you, I would get 6 for the win. I get 3, the residuals, all that. And then whatever your opponent's winning percentage is, if it's 600, you add 500 of that and it's 1.1. And you add that to the total for that game. Now, you did basketball. Let me ask you, in basketball season, now there's 21 or 22 teams in every public section in basketball, and 16 make it. So not too many get left out. But did you have many complaints about seating in basketball this year?
As far as I could tell, I think you have more complaints about seating in football compared to basketball. And even though basketball does 1 to 16 out of 22 teams essentially.
Right.
Section.
Well, if you're in North 5, they only had 26 teams, but there were 32 in South 5, and that's another thing. There were a couple teams that could have gotten in. But again, I think that's a fairly accurate. But what I like about that is it's all about winning. It's about your wins, the opponent's wins, and then the opponent winning percentage.
Yeah.
Nothing there about points. I messaged someone in another state last night who runs an athletic organization.
Yep.
And I said, hey, what do you guys do? And they explained it to me, and it was a little weird, but all right, I get it. And I explained what we do, and they said, holy cow, that is complicated. I would never go for something that has points related to ratings. So the larger question has to be, what are we doing here? We got high school kids. Why are we dealing with points? Do I think SI is a good metric? Yes, but there was such a bad taste after the way Bourne went. I don't know if we could go back to that, even with a blowout cap.
Yeah.
But whatever they do, it needs to not be next year. They need to run this on previous years, run this in future years, and figure out how it's going to work before you switch to something. But there need to be some changes. And the Asbury Park Press picked up on Pineland's situation. I've been talking about Spotswood. I'm done now till October because now I got football games this weekend. So there you go. There you go.
Say something funny, Mike. Well, I like the suggestions. Incentivize winning, and keep the sportsmanship involved. There has to be a solution. It's a little complicated, but it's complicated to make it a simple solution. So maybe we'll get there one day. Let's plug the game you are doing this week on Central Jersey Sports Radio.
Oh, we got a double dip. We got Plainfield at Piscataway, the 7-2 game in North 2 Group 5. The Chiefs are very good, and we talked about Plainfield before against Somerville. If they can get it together, it's a great game. It's really fun because those two are actually neighboring towns. Most people don't realize that. They border right on each other. A couple of main streets go through both. And those kids in the off season, when they can't be with their coaches, they practice with each other. They play against each other. They work out with each other. So that's going to be a really cool game. On Saturday, actually, that's going to be our Saturday game. Excuse me. That's our Saturday game. Friday, we have Manville in only their 6th playoff appearance ever, looking for their first ever playoff win. They're the 4 seed against the 5 seed Asbury Park. And Manville 9-0, a perfect regular season for the first time since 1968. When, by the way, they were not state champions that year. And I'm going to, are you ready? Are you ready? Because I'm going to leave you with this. Okay. Here's Manville. 1968. They have an undefeated regular season. They did not win a state championship. Based on the playoff system, they came in 3rd behind 8-1 Highland Park and 8-1 Bound Brook, and they beat Bound Brook 21-0 that season and finished behind them.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. So this
1968. This has been going on forever, and you and I are going to be in the ground, and this will still be going on.
It's been a 60-year plus. It's been a 60-year problem, essentially. Unbelievable. Well, we got.
They had it in the 40s. They had it in the 30s.
Oh,
the whole reason they brought that's actually the whole reason they brought the playoffs in. Because they wanted to avoid those controversies. So the first year was only 2 teams. It would be the 2 top teams would play off if they were close enough. If they were like 8-0 and 4-4, they wouldn't have one. They would declare.
It's a little bit.
The next year they went and expanded it, and then they went to 4, and then they went to 8. Now we have a behemoth.
60-year problem. So you got those games. We have 2 Saturday contests scheduled on our YouTube channel. We are scheduled to have Ocean City and Mainland Bridge Rivalry is renewed once again here in 2025, and Lower
beautiful
Cape
bridge too.
Yeah, and Lower Cape May and Gloucester City are scheduled for our channel on Saturday morning for South Jersey Group 3 and South Jersey Group 2. Mike, I appreciate the time, my man. Always good to talk to you.
You got it. Have fun with your games. I will with mine.
I mean, we could talk about the playoffs for hours on hours. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll come to a solution in the next 60 years. So, Mike Pavlichko.
I hope so.
Mike Pavlichko with me here on Cal 101, presented by Ulmer's Appliance Service, right here on Cape Atlantic Live.